When I moved into the old house on Hollow Creek Drive, I didn't think much of it. Just a fresh start for me and my 5-year-old daughter Lily. After the divorce, I needed something stable. Something quiet. The house was left to me by my late uncle, who'd passed suddenly, and although it was a little dusty and tucked away at the edge of town, it was perfect. Lily was enchanted by the backyard swing, the creaky staircase, the endless hallways. I remember the first time she ran into the living room, her tiny arms flailing with excitement. "Daddy," she said, "I have friends now." I chuckled. Kids have imaginary friends, it's part of growing up. I didn't question it, the first few weeks were normal. Lily would chat alone in her room, giggle at nothing, sometimes set an extra plate at dinner. I played along. She said their names were Mara, Toby, and the Bent Lady. I figured they were characters from books or cartoons, but when I asked where she'd met them, she said, "They live in the walls." I laughed it off. At first point one afternoon, while cleaning the attic, I stumbled upon an old photo album. Inside were yellowed pictures of my father, my uncle, even a few family members I didn't recognize. Lily sat beside me and pointed to a little girl in one of the black and white photos. "That's Mara," she said. "She's nice, but she cries a lot." I paused. "How do you know her name?" I asked. She just shrugged. She told me. That night, I stared at that photo long after Lily had gone to bed. The girl in the picture was real. The name, Mara, was scrawled on the back in faded ink. I hadn't shown Lily the back. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe she'd overheard me reading, or maybe her imagination was just sharper than I thought. Things escalated quickly after that. Lily began speaking in full conversations, complex, emotional, and far beyond her age. She would cry at night and say Toby got mad. She refused to enter the hallway near the basement and screamed if I turned off the nightlight. One evening, she came to me and said, "The Bent Lady says you're hiding things." I felt my stomach twist. "What kind of things?" I asked, trying to stay calm. "She says you lied. A long time ago." Her eyes were wide, her voice flat. "She says the shed knows. There was a locked shed in the backyard, hidden by overgrown ivy. I hadn't even opened it yet. The key was still hanging inside the kitchen drawer where I'd left it. I waited until Lily was asleep before heading out with a flashlight. The key turned with effort, and the door creaked open into dust and shadows. Inside were old tools, gardening supplies, a rusted bike, and a trunk. Inside the trunk were several things that didn't belong to me. Old drawings. A tiny pair of shoes. And a diary. My father's diary. The entries were erratic, scribbled in haste. He wrote about visitors, voices in the night, children who weren't his. He mentioned a little girl named Mara who would appear at the foot of his bed. And a woman who bent backwards and crawled across the floor like a spider. That I couldn't sleep that night. The next morning, Lily showed me a drawing she made. It was of a man falling off a ladder, his face contorted in fear. "What's this, sweetheart?" I asked. "That's Mr. Clark," she said. "He's going to fall today." Mr. Clark was our neighbor. That afternoon, while fixing his roof, his ladder gave out. He broke his leg and collarbone. The image in Lily's drawing matched his fall perfectly. That I started recording her room at night. The baby monitor caught faint whispers. At first, I thought it was the wind, but as I enhanced the audio, I heard words. "He knows, he lied, it's time." These weren't Lily's voice. They were older. Deeper. Some of them almost sounded like multiple people speaking at once. That I sent a clip to my sister, who still lived in the city. She called me immediately. "Get out of that house," she whispered. That's the same voice from when we were kids. I didn't remember much from our childhood. My parents rarely talked about their time in that house, and we hadn't been back in decades. One night, I found Lily in the attic, sleepwalking. Her eyes were open, but unseeing. She was drawing on the wooden floor with a piece of charcoal. Strange symbols. Circles within circles. Lines and numbers. I shook her gently. She didn't react. When she finally blinked and looked at me, she said, "They made me do it. If I stop, they'll hurt you." I took her to a child psychologist. They said she was imaginative. That maybe the trauma from the divorce was manifesting in unusual ways. They told me not to feed into her delusions. But this wasn't imagination anymore. It was too real. One afternoon, an elderly woman came to our front door. She introduced herself as Margaret and said she used to live in the house before my uncle. She asked if she could walk through the garden. I hesitated but agreed. As she looked around, her face grew pale. "My sister disappeared here," she said quietly. "No trace. Just gone one night." Lily came outside and stared at the woman. "You're her," she said. "You're Margaret. Your sister's name was Evelyn. Mara told me." The old woman dropped her cane and gasped. No one knows that." Margaret left in tears. Lily started saying, "They wanted me to confess." I asked what I had to confess. She said, "The thing you buried. The boy in the woods." My heart stopped. I hadn't told anyone. Not even my ex-wife. When I was 12, a cousin of mine, Benji, went missing in these woods. We were playing near the creek. He slipped, hit his head. I panicked. I thought he was dead. I buried him in the hollow beneath the old oak tree. I told everyone he ran away. A search lasted for weeks. Eventually, they gave up. That I broke down in tears. That night, I returned to the oak tree and began digging. I uncovered small bones, wrapped in a rotting blue jacket. The same one Benji had worn that day. The next day, I turned myself in. I confessed everything to the police. They ruled it an accident, and because of my age at the time, I wasn't charged. They thanked me for the closure. When I returned home, Lily was waiting at the door. She looked older. Like a weight had lifted. For days, there were no whispers. No sleepwalking. She smiled again. I thought it was over, until I found a new drawing that it was of me. Alone. Sitting in the dark. My eyes were crossed out. The bent lady stood behind me. I asked Lily what it meant. She whispered, "They said your turn is next." That night, I saw her talking to the empty air again. Laughing. Pointing. I asked who she was speaking to. She said, "You." I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the living room, lights on, watching the shadows stretch across the floor like claws. I felt something cold pass through me. The voices returned. They whispered things I'd never said aloud. My regrets. My guilt. My hidden fears. I screamed. Cried. Begged. Then everything went black. When I woke up, the house was silent. Dust floated through the morning light. Lily wasn't in her room. Her drawings were gone. The photos from the albums had vanished. Even the diary from the shed. It was as if I'd never existed, but I heard her. Just once more. A week later, a real estate agent brought a young couple to the house. The wife was pregnant. The husband laughed at the creaky stairs. As they stood in Lily's old room, I saw her. She was in the corner, whispering to someone I couldn't see, and she smiled at me, just once, before fading into the wall. The young couple moved in 2 weeks later. They painted over the crayon marks on the walls, replaced the attic door, planted flowers where the shed once stood. They didn't ask about the previous owner. People rarely do when the house is old enough, and the past is buried deep. I watched them from the shadows. I don't know if I was a ghost now or something else. I could see everything, feel the air, the cold wood beneath my feet, but no one could see me, except the child. The baby was born one stormy night, a girl named Ava. From the moment she opened her eyes, she stared into corners. Always the same one in the nursery, where Lily once whispered to the dark. I watched Ava grow faster than she should have. Crawling by 4 months. Walking before 8. Her laughter echoed through the halls, but it was never joyful. It sounded like echoes of memories she hadn't lived. The parents started fighting. Small things at first, missing items, strange cold spots, Ava's toys rearranged into symbols. The mother swore she heard voices through the baby monitor. Once, she said she woke up to find Ava sitting on her chest, smiling. The father began sleeping in the guest room. He had nightmares. The kind that left him screaming. He wouldn't say what they were about. Ava started calling someone Lily. Her mom thought it was sweet, just a baby sound. But I knew better. One night, the monitor crackled and a small voice said, "She's almost ready." The mother dropped the device and screamed. The father dismissed it as interference. That same night, Ava began drawing. Not with crayons. With charcoal from the fireplace. Circles. Eyes. A bent figure looming over a faceless man. I recognized myself in those lines. The bent lady was back. That it was only a matter of time. One morning, the mother found Ava's closet door wide open, though it was always latched tight. Inside, every doll she owned was arranged in a circle, arms linked, heads tilted toward the center where a single word was scratched into the floorboards, offering. She blamed a prankster. The father looked pale. He remembered stories. He looked up the house online. Found an old article. My name. The confession. The body under the oak. They tried to move out, the house didn't let them. Every time they packed, something stopped them. The car wouldn't start. The baby fell sick. The bank froze their accounts. The realtor quit. Ava grew quieter, more watchful. She'd vanish for hours, only to be found in the attic or behind the furnace, humming songs no one had taught her. The drawings turned violent. People screaming. Houses on fire. A man hanging from a tree. Her mother broke down and called a priest. That he didn't last long. The moment he stepped into the house, he said, "This place isn't empty." He performed blessings, splashed holy water, lit candles. They all blew out at once. A door slammed shut on its own. Ava watched from the stairs, expressionless. "It's too late," she whispered. "They live here now." That night, the priest left and never returned. The couple stopped sleeping. They fought constantly. They screamed about the house watching them, about Ava not being their child. The mother called her a stranger. The father started drinking. Ava just smiled. One night, she walked into their room while they were asleep. She stood between them and whispered, "He's sorry." The mother woke, startled, and reached for her. Ava touched her forehead gently and said, "Shoo. You'll forget soon." The next morning, the mother packed her bags and left without a word. Didn't even take Ava. Just walked into the pouring rain and never came back. The father tried to raise her alone. He didn't last long either. The house took something from him. Every day, a little more. He stopped speaking. His eyes became hollow. One night, he walked into the forest behind the house and disappeared. No body. No goodbye, just like me and Ava. She remained. Drawing. Whispering. Laughing at things no one else could see. Until another family arrived, they were excited. A fresh start. The little boy, around Lily's age when it began, ran into the yard and shouted, "There's someone in the window." The mother laughed. "Probably your imagination." But it wasn't, because in the window, I saw her again. Lily. Older now. Taller. Still with that same knowing smile. She turned to the little boy and whispered something through the glass, and he nodded. It's never one story. It's many, repeating, overlapping, layering. The voices don't leave. They evolve. We think imaginary friends are harmless. But they're not imaginary. They're watchers. Carriers. Collectors of sins never spoken aloud, and they always find a new friend always.